with you. I had the best time this morning. I enjoyed so much being with young people this morning. And did you get your ice cream sandwiches?
Yes.
All right. And that sparked revival. So well. That's a great group of young people.
Yes,
A great group of young people. And I was so impressed by their attention, and they just jumped right in early in the morning like that. And I'm so pleased about that. It's good to see you all tonight. Church, good to be here. Praise the Lord. I love this place. I love your pastor. I love what God has done here. And I get encouraged by being here. You're helping me. I hope you understand. You're helping me. And I want to take some of this back to North Carolina. And along with some of that shrimp I had today. Hallelujah. Take your Bibles, turn to Deuteronomy chapter number 17. Deuteronomy chapter 17. Looking forward to tomorrow night. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. I sure hope that you'll get to come with us. In those tickets left that people can get. You can still get it. You didn't find some?
Might have to wait in line.
Might have to wait in line. They can come as they get to the back of the line.
Yeah, they might have
All
to
right.
wait back.
All right.
They have to wash dishes.
If they wash dishes. All right, good. All right. But I hate for them to have to go home and watch Ponderosa. But I'm looking forward to that. And I've enjoyed the fellowship with your pastor and Mrs. Crane. Now, Deuteronomy chapter number 17. We're going to read just verses 14 through 20. But rather than read the text together, I'm going to pray. And I want to jump right into the message tonight. So you're open there to the text. And Deuteronomy 17. And we're going to read verses 14 around to down to verse number 20. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we love you tonight. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for the sweet Spirit of Christ that dwells in us. And thank you for thy Spirit and thy presence here this evening.
Yes.
And I pray, Lord, that just right now, even as we bow, Lord, to begin this service, that everyone here in their heart would say, Lord, what would you have me to do tonight? Lord, we didn't come to put in time. And this is not just a duty we're performing. We do want to hear from you. And we ask that your sweet Spirit would speak to our hearts, Lord, tonight. And I pray, Lord, even as you speak to me while I preach, I pray, God, that we'll be sensitive to your Spirit and obedient. And Lord, as you speak to us, I pray, Lord, that we'll move as God will lead. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for this opportunity. Thank you, church, for being here. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother, but he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses for as much as the Lord hath said unto you, he shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. Now in these verses, God is giving instructions to the kings of Israel. He says, now you choose a king. Be sure you choose one of your own. Don't go outside of the nation to choose a king. Choose someone from within the nation. And when you choose that man, I've got some instructions for him. I make sure that he doesn't multiply to himself horses. Egypt was known for horses and for their famous horse stables. And he said, I don't want you to start trading horses and collecting horses, because sure as the world you're going to want to go down there and get the best horses in the world. And that means you're going to go back to Egypt, and I don't want you to go anywhere near Egypt again. He said, don't multiply yourself wives just because you can. Doesn't mean you need more than one wife. There's a lot of things we do just because we can do it. Just because we can do it doesn't mean we ought to do it. God said to a man, you don't multiply a wife to yourself. He said something else. He said, make your own copy of the Word of God. Now that's interesting. They didn't have printing presses yet, of course. And he said, I want you as a king to sit down and make yourself. He shall write him a copy of this law in a book. Now that was a major project. He said, I want the king himself to write a copy of the law for himself, and then I want him to read therein all the days of his life. That's interesting. He said, when you have a king, he said, I want him to write his own copy of the law. I want it to be his personal copy. I want him to read out of his personal copy every day for the rest of his life. Those are pretty good instructions. And then he said, why? I don't want him to leave the law and the statutes, and I don't want his heart to be lifted up. Now wait a minute. That sounds like good instructions. But wait. This is in the book of Deuteronomy. There's no kings yet in Deuteronomy. Oh, I know what that means, Pastor. God was planning one day for the nation of Israel to have kings, and so he wanted to give some instructions. Wait a minute, hold on a second. It was never God's plan for them to have a king. God did not want them to have a king. Amen. God had a unique system of government for his people. We call it theocracy, and that is, he had a man of God, Moses, and God spoke directly to Moses. Read Genesis chapter 30, 31, 32, 33. He spoke to Moses face to face as a man speaks to his friend. God spoke to Moses directly, and Moses then shared with the people of God what God had, and that was God's plan to lead his people. It was never God's will or God's plan for the nation of Israel to have a king. Well, then why, pray tell me, these many years before that? This is during Moses' time. This is Deuteronomy time, Moses' day. This is before Moses died. This is before Joshua led him into the promised land. This is before the times of the judges. This is before there ever was a king. Many years before there's a king that God never intended them to have in the first place. And yet he gives instructions for what this king that he doesn't want to be there should do when he gets there. Now, why in the world would God give instructions to a king he never intended to be a king? Let me tell you why. Because God has a plan B for his people. Do you know this? God is never surprised when we fail. Amen. I don't understand everything about the foreknowledge of God. I don't understand everything about, I don't understand anything about election and predestination. I've got some ideas about it. And some things deeply rooted in my heart that I do believe. But I don't have it all figured out. But I do know this, that nothing ever surprises God. Amen. Nothing ever surprises God. And you might say, well, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I can't believe so-and-so did that. God never says that. God knows everything. And God knew in eternity past, God knew when Moses was still alive, that the nation of Israel would rebel against his plan, and that they would go their own way and do their own thing. In fact, when it happened, Samuel was the prophet and the priest and the judge during that time. When it happened, and Samuel got on distraught. And Samuel said, I can't believe it, God, they're asking for a king. And they don't want your plan anymore. God said, don't worry, Samuel. Don't take it personally, Samuel. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting me. Amen. And God knew that his people would reject him and his plan. And yet, these many years before they ever did, he gave them instructions and gave it to Moses and had to put it down for the generations to come of what they needed to do when they got to that place in their life where they should have never been in the first place. Do you get the idea that maybe God wants us to succeed in our Christian life even when we haven't done everything that we should have done? When we didn't do it right the first time, God still wants us to succeed. Listen, hey Dad, you can never go back and be the father that you should have been. But you can be today that plan B. I messed that one up too.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? God's got a plan C.
Amen.
Amen. God's not done with you. You say, well, I think God's done with me. He's not done with you. Well, Pastor, how do you know that? Because you're breathing. And the wise men said, to all living, there is hope. Amen. Hey, do me a favor real quick. Take your two fingers like this. Everybody get your two fingers up there. Here we go. Let's put them on our neck just for a moment. Feel anything? Glory! God's not done with us. He's not done. You say, Pastor, I know what you're talking about because I've been on plan B and I've been on plan C and I blew that one too. Guess what? God's got a plan C, a plan D. He's got a plan double Q. Amen. I mean, when you go all the way to the alphabet and come back around, I'm just simply saying, as long as you're breathing, God's not done with you. He said, I know you're not supposed to have a king. I don't want you to have a king. I want you to be set apart to me. I want me to be enough for you. I don't want you to be like the nations of the world. But when you do what I don't want you to do, let me help you there. What a God we have. What a merciful God. What a gracious God we have. Romans chapter 12, 1 and 2 talks about the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now listen, if you're still on plan A, stay on plan A. Amen. Stay in the perfect will of God. Never leave the perfect will of God. But if you got away from the perfect will of God, I say, hey, listen, you got away from a perfect will, but hey, I'll accept that. I'll take that. You say, well, I messed up already. And that's what the devil wants us to do. He wants us to say, well, we messed up. We forfeited God's best, so why try? Listen to me. God has a plan B for your life. God hasn't given up on you. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on him. God's already making plans for your success in the future. When you fail out there and you don't even know you're going to, he already knows, and he's already planning for your success. What a God we have. He hadn't written you off. Do you ever stop and think about this? Why would God give the wisest man that ever walked the face of the earth to David and Bathsheba? Yeah. Well, David and Bathsheba, now hold on, so what are we doing? When David and Bathsheba got together, David was a married man and Bathsheba was a married lady. How many understand that's not really a great way to start a relationship? That's really not starting off on the right foot. Yeah, that's not a good way to start. Well, then what in the world? How in the world would God give to David and Bathsheba the wise man? If I was going to give a Solomon to someone, then I'd give him some faithful couple and find some little fella, a man that stay with his wife, a little lady who stay with her husband, somebody like your mom and dad that years and years and years stuck together, and then God obviously didn't give them the wisest man. Anyway, that wasn't planned, Pastor. But anyway, I would give to Mary and Grandma Crane. That's who I give Solomon to. But I don't think I would give Solomon to David and Bathsheba. They got off on the wrong foot. Take your Bibles for just a moment, if you would, and turn to Deuteronomy 21. Turn a few pages over. Deuteronomy 21. Look at verse 15. God's given instructions to his people about how to live in these passages. And it says in Deuteronomy 21:15, if a man have two wives, whoa, what? Wait a minute, what? I didn't know we could have more than one wife. Wait a minute. If a man have two wives, one beloved, another hated, they've borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, firstborn son, be hers that was hated, and it shall be when he maketh his sons that inherit that which he had. He may not make the son of the beloved firstborn. But here's what he goes on. What he's saying to them is this: if you wind up with two wives and you like one better than the other, don't treat the one you like better. Don't treat their kids better. You treat these kids over here. We live in a day of mixed families and blended homes and things like that. And that's very difficult. Only the grace of God can help a situation like that. And he's given them instructions that make sure that you remember those kids in the next generation. It's not their fault. Make sure you don't mistreat them. Don't serve them up injustice because you made mistakes in your life. You say, well, good night. I didn't know God was never okay with a man having more than one wife. In Genesis 2:24, he repeats it in the Gospels. Jesus repeats it in Genesis 2:24. He said, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, singular, and they two shall be one flesh. It was never God's intention for a man to have more than one wife. Yeah. That's good. We didn't all start well. We didn't all start well. Some of us read, I got messed up a lot of stuff before I got in this thing. I have good news for you, my dear. Don't you despair. And when a preacher gets up and preaches to your children and your grandchildren the things you ought never do, and in your mind, I've done that. And he said, you ought never do that, kids. I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. Hey, listen, understand that God has a plan for these little children here that haven't, they're still on plan A. That God hasn't written you off. That God knew before you ever messed up where you're going. God comes to you and he says, now look, you got yourself in a mess. That's what you did. You got yourself in a man with two wives has got himself in a mess. I'll tell you the truth. And God said, you got yourself in a mess. Now, I don't want anything to do with you. That's not what he says. He says, you got yourself in a mess. Now, let me help you with your mess.
Amen.
What a God. What a gracious, understanding, compassionate, loving God that we have. Oh, listen, God's people might judge you for where you are. Sounds to me like God doesn't do. God's coming to help you make the best of it. Oh, what a God we have. Here's a question for you. Why would God the Father instruct his holy angel to speak to the disciples on behalf of Jesus and instruct the angel to mention one of those disciples by name? Turn to Mark 16, would you please? Mark chapter number 16. Mark chapter number 16. Verse number 1. Mark 16, verse number 1. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him, Jesus Christ, died on the cross, he'd been buried, and visiting his tomb. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. And they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man, an angel, sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were affrighted. That in the Greek means they were scared. Verse 6. And he said unto them, be not affrighted. Ye seek Jesus of Nazareth, which was crucified. He is risen. He's not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go your way. Tell his disciples. Read the next two words out loud. And Peter. Read them again. And Peter. A little louder. And Peter. That he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall you see him. As he said to you. Wait a minute. Here's Mary. Mary Magdalene. Salome. They come to the grave where Jesus was. The stones rolled away. They poked her in and said, oh my goodness, there's an angel sitting there. He said, who are you looking for? He's not here. He's risen. Go tell his disciples he's headed to Galilee and they can meet him there. And make sure now that you tell Peter. Amen. Why would he do that? Because the last interaction between Jesus and Peter was when Peter had said less than 24 hours before, I'll never deny you. I'll die before I deny you. Yes. Some hours later, Peter's standing warming his hand by the fire. He's in the wrong crowd. It's amazing how bold we are when we're around the right crowd and how wimpy we get when we're around the wrong crowd. Yeah. He's with the wrong crowd. And somebody says, hey, aren't you one of Jesus' disciples, one of his followers? No, I don't know. I said, yeah, I believe I said, I don't know. Like, I don't know. The little girl said, I saw you with him. I'm not one of his followers. Yes. Cursed and swore. Somewhere in that, Jesus is being tried. Peter's out there cursing and swearing. Somewhere as the crowd moved, I picture it in my mind, one person stepped this way and one person stepped that way. And the crowd opened up, and from a distance, Jesus turned and he looked at Peter, and Peter saw him. And he went out. And he wept bitterly. I can't look at you. How could I have done the thing I said I'd never do? And angel said, when you tell the disciples, make sure you tell Peter that Jesus wants to meet him in Galilee. You know why? Because Peter Peter in his heart was saying, he never wants to see me again. After what I did to him, he don't want nothing to do with me. He's done with me. He never want to see my face again. After I cursed and swore and denied him, and like I said, I never would. He'll never want to see me again. And then he goes, you tell the disciples Jesus wants to meet him in Galilee. He's alive. And be sure whatever you do, you tell Peter. Why? Because there's a God in heaven that knew Peter was defeated. And Peter was down on himself. And Peter was absolutely convinced that God was finished with him. Let me tell you something, my dear friend. God doesn't want the defeated to stay the defeated. Amen. God doesn't want the defeated to stay defeated. Hey, a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. Amen. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. Can I show you how you grow in the Christian life? Nobody grows in the Christian life, shoots up like a rocket ship. Here's how you grow. And you get excited. And God speaks to your heart. And you take 2, 3, 4 steps forward. And then you take a couple steps back. Yeah. And then you get up and you go on again. And then you take a couple steps back. And you take 2 or 3 steps forward. Then you take a step back. You know, the most important time in your Christian life, actually, is not when you're going this way. The most important time in your Christian life is when you start going right here and you catch yourself and you say, oh my. I didn't think I'd ever come back here again. I was doing so good. And the old devil says, why are you even trying? You're not like those people down there. You'll never be like those. You're not a churchy kind of a person. We know who you really are. Why are you pretending? Who are you fooling? That's the most crucial time in your Christian life. What you do when you fall will make all the difference for the rest of your life. Amen. Peter was down, and God knew Peter was down. And that old angel said, I got a special message from heaven. It's for Peter. Peter's down and Peter's defeated. But I got a message for all the disciples, but I especially got a message for Peter because Peter shamed himself and he shamed his Christ and disappointed his Savior. You make sure Peter knows that though he's down, God's got plans for him to get back up and be used again. My dear friend, it was Peter who stood up on Pentecost. And Peter who less than 2 months later preached in the power of the Spirit. And 3,000 people walked out and got saved, baptized, and joined the church. Hallelujah. Why? Because defeated as he was, God didn't want him to stay defeated.
That's right.
The Bible turn to 1 Samuel chapter 19. What a God we have. 1 Samuel chapter number 19, please. David had become the fair-haired lad of the entire nation. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. But Saul got bit by envy. The Bible says in 1 Samuel 19, verse 1, and Saul spake to Jonathan his son and all of his servants that they should kill David. He commanded, he said, every one of you can see him and kill him. He was eaten up with envy. Down in verse number 10 records an attempt on David's life. And Saul sought to smite David even to the wall with a javelin. But he slipped away out of Saul's presence. He smote the javelin into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. But if David hadn't been as athletic as he was, as quick as he was, he would have lost his life that day. Old Saul took his javelin and hurled it at David, and David shot out of the way and took off, fleeing for his life. Saul's hunting for him. Verse number 18. So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth. And it was told Saul, saying, behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. Look at it. Here's what happened. Saul's eaten up with envy. David has to run for his life. He has a javelin hurled at him and barely escapes with his life, and he flees for his life. And word comes back to Saul that David has run and found Samuel, and he's hiding out with Samuel down in Ramah, where Samuel and the sons of the prophets are having a revival meeting. And so Saul hears about that, and Saul dispatches presently dispatches some of his trusted men. He said, you go down to Ramah and you arrest him and you bring him back, and I'm going to execute him. And those men dispatched by the king himself went down to Ramah. As they got close by there, Samuel was up there in front of the sons of the prophets. The Spirit of God was on Samuel. The Spirit of God was on the folks that were there at that meeting. And those men, dispatched by King Saul himself, come to arrest David and take him back to be tried and executed, came in the meeting. I imagine it might have been a tent preacher. They come in the back of the tent, and they heard the singing, they heard the testimonies, they heard the man of God, Samuel, preaching in the fire of the Holy Spirit. And all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit got on them. And they're looking around, and their eyes got wide. They heard someone stand up and say, I want to get right with God. I've been running from God, and I want to come get right. I want to come down. I need to be saved. I've been playing a game. I need to trust the true God, Jehovah God. I need to trust Him. And those guys who came to arrest David, all of a sudden, God got a hold of them, and they standing back here in the revival. Samuel's leaving, and all of a sudden, their eyes get wide. They said, oh my goodness. They come down to the front. They said, oh, Samuel, we got to talk to you. Samuel said, what are you soldiers doing? He said, we came to arrest David. David said, over there, oh boy. And they said, we came to arrest David, but we want to get right with God instead. And they knelt on their knees and they prayed. They stood up and said, can we say a word for the Lord? And they prophesied. They said a word for the Lord. And they didn't go back to King Saul report. They stayed for the rest of the meeting. Glory to God. Saul's back there walking around in the palace. Said this guy's going to be back by now. He knew how long it took to get to Ramah, how long it took to get back. He said, what are those guys doing? They should be back by now. They should be back by now. Look down. Look verse number 21. When it was told Saul, somebody came and said, Saul, you guys didn't make it to Ramah. And they did find David, but they didn't arrest him. So what did they arrest him? He said, well, they got right with God. They're down there at the tent revival, and they don't want to come back. He said, give me some more men. Look at verse 3. And when he was told Saul, he said, other messengers. And they prophesied likewise. There comes another set of guys, and they come down the meeting. They're going to arrest David. David's still there. Samuel's still leading. People are still prophesying, and the Spirit of God's still present. And they come down. They're going to arrest him. There he is. And all of a sudden, the Holy Ghost conviction. Come on, they come down. Look, oh, Samuel. We came to arrest David. We don't want to arrest David. David, we love you. I'm so sorry. I felt bad about you, David. And they said, we want to get right. They got on their knees. They got up. They kissed her. Said, oh, God delivered me from envy. God delivered me from bitterness. God delivered me from hate my brother. And revival struck their hearts. They didn't want to leave. Verse 21. When it was told Saul, he sent other messengers. They prophesied likewise. And Saul sent messengers again the third time. 3 times it happened. And they prophesied also. Then went he also to Ramah. Saul said, I'm not going to send you. I'm going myself. He also went to Ramah and came to a great well that is in CQ. And he asked, said, where are Samuel and David? And one said, behold, they didn't down from Ramah. Everybody knows that. Saul already knew that. He's not into the meeting yet. Stop the well. That's like the convenience store on the highway. Everybody stopped at the well. You had to water the animals. They stopped at the well and said, yeah, y'all know where David and Samuel are? Yep, they're still down there at that meeting. It's a protracted meeting. It's supposed to go for a week. It's going for 5 weeks now. And Saul said, finally, all of a sudden, the Bible says, verse 23, and he went thither to Nath and Ramah, and the Spirit of God was upon him also, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Nath and Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes. I'm talking about being immodest, but he just said, I don't need this royal robe just now. And I don't feel like wearing my crown just now. He took that off and came in like a commoner and prophesied before Samuel in like manner and laid down naked without his robe, without his royal garments, without his crown, all that day and all that night. And all night prayer man too, preacher. And the men that was praying, Saul was still on his way to the meeting. He hadn't got to the meeting yet. And he started getting under conviction. And God, the Spirit started working on him. And before he got there, he's riding along. And I imagine just, and he's got me with him. He said, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this or not. I know David's God's man. David never done anything to me. I don't know why I'm so mad at him. I don't know why that should be this way. He's getting under conviction. He ain't got there yet. He gets it by the time he gets there. He's sleeping. And he gets right. He prophesies and lays on his face all night long. I didn't tell him about David. I don't know David sitting in the back one. Go Saul, get right with God. Amen. Why would God, the Spirit, come upon King Saul while he was en route to kill David? Because God wasn't finished with Saul, and God's not finished with you even when you feel like He's finished with you. God isn't finished with you even when you feel like He's finished with you. Could I show you one more? Turn to Deuteronomy 31. Deuteronomy 31. Verse number 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers. Moses, you're going to die. And this people, after you're dead, Moses, this people will rise up and go a-whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, whither they go to be among them, and will forsake me, and break my covenant which I made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Are not those evils come unto us because our God is not among us? Folks, listen, it got so bad as they rebelled against God, and God judged them. It got to the place where they, in times of starvation, began to eat their own children. Boil their own babies and eat them. That's how bad they got. Every kind of perversion you could possibly imagine. That's how far they got from God. Verse number 18. And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they shall have wrought, in that they are turned unto other gods. God said, it'll be so bad I won't even be able to look. God said, I can't look at it. They disgust me so. Their sin is filthy. I can't look. Verse 19. Now, therefore. When you find the word therefore in the Bible, you know a little bit about that word. It means God is connecting what He's about to say to what He just said. God says, because they're going to go so far, because they're going to do such wicked things, now therefore write ye this song for you, and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. Now wait a minute, look at it. They hadn't yet left the will of God. They hadn't yet gone and worshipped the false gods. They hadn't yet, Moses is still alive. They hadn't yet perverted the whole nation yet. God looked down in His foreknowledge through time. He said, Moses, after you die, I hate to tell you this, but they're going to go against everything you taught them. He's just going to be so bad I can't even look at them. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write a song. And I want that song to be something special between me and my people. Why would God write a love song about His relationship to His people when He knew ahead of time they would turn their back on Him? I tell you why. Because God wants to have a relationship with you and me, even when we don't want anything to do with Him.
Amen.
A drunken baseball player stumbled out of a bar with several of his buddies he played ball with. In the drunken stupor, they sat down on the curb outside of that bar. They were at the corner of State Street and Madison Street in Chicago, Illinois. They sat on that bar in a drunken stupor. Across the street was a preacher on the corner and a little gospel band, trombone, trumpet, several instrumental pieces. And they were over there playing. Those old hymns of the faith. One of those young men sitting there just stumbled out of a bar. Heard those songs. He said, I remember that. Oh, that's the songs I used to hear when I was a little boy. My mother would take me to church. the Spirit began to use that song. Stirred something in that young man's heart. He began to remember what it was like when he was at home, in a Christian home, the Christian mother, godly mother, taking him to church. He began to remember the things that he heard. About that time, that gospel preacher on the other corner saw this young man sitting among his drunken friends. As he was sitting on the corner weeping, he saw, it was very evident that God, the Holy Spirit, was working on that young man. So he crossed the street and he approached him. He said, "Sir, would you like to come down to the Pacific Garden Mission? We've got hot food. We've got a gospel preacher. There's some old drunks that have been saved that give their testimony about how God changed your life." And that young man sat on that curve. He looked up at that gospel preacher. He looked at his friends. He stood up and he said, "Fellas, we've come to a parting of the ways. I'm choosing Christ."
Amen.
And Billy Sunday followed that preacher into the Pacific Garden Mission, and that night Billy Sunday received Jesus Christ as his Savior. And before he died, he led 1 million souls to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
God used a song to stir his heart. Can I tell you something, my dear friend? God's not finished with you even when you think you're finished with him.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know how many times, years ago, I knocked on the door, about 3 blocks from the church. It was early days, knocked on the door. I got invited to a living room there. There was a man and his wife. They had just a few small children at that time. I began to give them the gospel. The wife got so angry at me while I gave the gospel to the family. She wanted to argue with it. She got so furious. She stood up and presently marched out of the living room to the back of the house and refused to come back out and speak to me. And the husband said, "God bless you." A few more words, dismissed myself and left. About a year later, I was in a whole different part of the county and knocking on doors. Knocked on the door. The lady came to the door, opened the door, and said, "Oh, you!" Same lady. I tried to get somewhere where they didn't get very far with her. No. God bless you. This dear lady got a job at a factory in town, and one of her coworkers said, "Hey, you want to come on church sometime? You want to come on church sometime?" You go to church? "I don't go to church." "You want to come to church?" "I don't come to church." Finally, one day she said, here's a tract from my church. I'll come. She looked at you and said, "Oh, my goodness, same church." I had the privilege of leading that lady to Christ on the telephone. Her family, led her husband to Christ. Husband, I went soul in him. And while we were soul in him, he looked at me, he preached, "Pastor, I don't think I'm saved." We pulled over in a church parking lot, got out on asphalt, knelt down, and received Christ as his Savior. Many, many years ago. Their children have grown up in our church. Can I tell you something? God's looking for you when you're not looking for him. God's looking for you when you're not looking for him.
That's right.
I stopped by a fellow working on his motorcycle in the garage. And I said, "Hey, why don't you come to church with me?" He's like, "I don't want to do that." I said, "No, keep this track." He said, "I don't want your track." I said, "I'll try that. Come on." He said, "I don't have anything to do with church." And I left. A week later, he called me from Randolph Hospital. He said, "Are you the preacher come by and see me last week?" He said, "I was in a motorcycle wreck. You think you'd come by and tell me what you're trying to tell me last week?" Can I tell you something? When you're not looking for God, God's looking for you. A man cussed me off his front porch. Not to cursed me off his front porch. 6 months later, he called in humility. He said, "I'm the man who cursed you off my front porch. Could you come back? I've been diagnosed with HIV. Could you come tell me what you tried to tell me 6 months ago?"
Amen.
I was still a college student and studying for the ministry and worked at Consolidated Freightways. And most of the guys I worked with on my shift, they were not Christians. And they was a foul-mouthed bunch and dirty mouth and all. They just enjoyed trying to get, they called the preacher man, called me minister. When Jim Baker messed up, they started calling me Jim. And he would say, one man named Brian in particular, was just particularly antagonistic, always trying to get my vote. And one day, he got under my skin a little bit because he started making fun of God's word and making fun of the truth. He said, "Oh, no, you believe what you believe is a bunch of nonsense. It's not true." He's doing it in front of others. Sort of like the public challenge. And I said, "Brian, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. I said, you don't even know what's in this Bible. You don't even know what I believe about this Bible. He said, yeah, I do. It's a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of blankety blank nonsense. I said, you don't have any idea, Brian. Even what I believe. And you say you think it's nonsense, you don't even know what I believe. I said, you know what I believe about going to heaven? He said, I'm sure I do. I know there's a bunch of nonsense. Now, Brian was way up on the totem pole. He was a union shop. He was high on the seniority list, which means he had his own special table with him and his buddies right next to the coffee machine. About 70 guys go on break. You know, when you've been on the job as long as he had, nobody took Brian's seat. I left my station about 5 minutes early that day so I could be the first one to the lunchroom. I went in the lunchroom with my Bible in my hand, and I went and sat in Brian's seat. I took my life in my own hands. Guys started coming in and they said, hey man, you better, there's a warning. They said, hey, you better not sit there. No, I thought, I'm just sitting there, Bible. Brian comes in. He glanced over and sees me sitting. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to think. I'm sitting there waiting. I got my Bible open. I mean, guys are following him. People are, yeah, preacher man, minister man, Jim, look at Jim. Brian finally comes over and don't want to make eye contact with him. And I just, and he didn't challenge me before I see him, so he sat across from me, bumped one of his buddies out of his spot, and sat there. I took my Bible, opened it up, and I turned it around and slid in front of him. I said, all right, Brian, you say that what I believe is a bunch of nonsense. I said, okay. I think you don't even know what I believe. I said, so here's the Bible. I said, show me what a man has to do to go to heaven from the Bible, and then tell me why you believe it's a bunch of nonsense. But it got funny because his buddies around him were like, yeah, Brian, go ahead. Go ahead, show him, Brian. He didn't know what to do with that. It was pretty awkward there for a few seconds, and finally I said, truth is, Brian, you don't have any idea what I believe a man has to do to go to heaven, so I'm going to tell you. I turned the Bible back around, I flipped to the Romans road, I went to the plan of salvation, and I said, that's what you have to know in order to go to heaven. He didn't get saved, revival didn't break out. I lost my courage after I gave the gospel, shut the Bible, and walked out. It was several months later. I was up in the nose of the trailer, unloading some boxes. And way up in the nose, and Brian come to the end, come to that bay, at the end of the trailer. I was up in the nose of the trailer, he's at the end of the trailer, and I saw him over there. He looked this way, looked that way, and looked at me. I said, oh my goodness. He's going to come in here, he's going to slit my throat, put me in a box, ship me to Oregon, I'll be decomposed before they find me. He come walking in that trailer. I was like, hey, how you doing? When he got close, I could see his face. I see his lips trembling and tears in his eyes. I said, hey man, you all right? He's much older than me. He said, preacher man, you do prayers? He didn't know the lingo. I said, Brian, I do prayers. You need me to do a prayer for you? He said, yeah, if you would. I said, what you want to pray about, Brian? He said, I don't really know. He said, left work last night, went home. My wife took my kids, and they're gone. Oh. I don't know what to do. I said, Brian, I'll pray for you. Mm-hmm. That hard man stood there in front of me and wept while I prayed for God to restore him and his family. Help him to know and understand there's a God in heaven that loves him. Can I tell you something, my dear friend? When you're not looking for God, he's looking for you. Amen. He's looking for you. Charlotte Elliott was afflicted. She was a sickly young woman. First 23 years of her life, she barely went out away from home. She was sick. She was not completely invalid, but she was very sickly. And all of her family served God, was very active, and she wanted to, but she finally just became bitter. A man by the name of Dr. Caesar Milan was a great used servant of God. Charlotte's family would often entertain servants of God as they come in and speak at the church. And they'd have the guest preacher come over and have a meal with him. That night, Charlotte was there at the table, the rest of the family. It was very evident that she was hard and she was bitter. And finally, Dr. Milan turned to Charlotte and asked her about her soul. Very pointedly and very kindly. She immediately took offense. She's from a Christian family. She grew up knowing about it all of her life. She immediately took offense. She excused herself from the table with some very cutting and sharp remarks. Excused herself from the table. The family was embarrassed. The father apologized. Oh, Brother Mom, I'm so sorry. He said, it's okay. When Charlotte Elliott exited the room and went backwards into her little hideout, God the Spirit began to work on her. Those pointed questions the man of God asked her, the Spirit used to open up her heart and reveal what was on the inside.
Amen.
And a few days later, she called for Dr. Malone. She said, could you come back to the house and talk to me? He came and he sat down together. She said, I was so angry with you when you asked me that. But God has shown me I don't have him in my life. I don't know what to do. How do I come to him? How do I come to him? I'm angry and I'm bitter. I don't know why. I have to be sick. I don't understand it. How do I come to him as angry as I am? Dr. Malone said, Miss Elliott, you just come as you are.
Amen.
Come as you are. He'll take you as you are.
Amen.
And Charlotte Elliott came just as I am. She came. Later, she immortalized that godly advice. Just as I am, without one plea, she wrote. It's in all of our hymnals. We've sung it. You know what? When she wasn't looking for God, God was looking for her.
Amen.
Oh, there's nothing more the devil wants than for you to be defeated. Throw in the towel. Walk away and say, I've never been what I ought to be, and never will be what I ought to be. God doesn't want me. I'm telling you, my dear friend, there's a God in heaven who has not written you off tonight.
Amen.
You're breathing. He loves you. He has a plan for you. Let's stand together, shall we? Father, we love you.